can't be true. This can't be true. It's a monstrous case. Because it's the own father who did this to his daughter.
At 42, she had spent her entire adult life locked in a basement cellar and used as a sex slave by her own father, who raped her over 3,000 times and fathered 7 of her children, one of whom even died due to neglect. This is the story of Elisabeth Fritzl that shocked the whole world. The horrific story, which unfolded in 2008 in a small Austrian town, inspired a hit US movie. But the true story of Elisabeth and her surviving 6 children is far more chilling than any fiction could ever be. With a warning of adults and triggering content ahead, we take you through frightening events of this case in this video. Let us start the story with some background on Elisabeth's father, the Austrian pensioner Josef Fritzl. He was an oppressive patriarchal figure in the family, and the fact that his daughter wanted to go out with her friends, party, kiss her boyfriends, and live her life bothered him to such an extent that he eventually took up criminal means to put chains around her. Josef's grandfather had been married to a woman who couldn't conceive children. Because of this, the grandfather would have affairs with other women and then would coerce his wife into adopting the children they bore. Josef's mother was one of those children, whom a trial lawyer described as unloving and sadistic. It's common that child abusers have often suffered child abuse themselves, and the people who mistreat other people have often been mistreated in various ways themselves. This is no excuse or a justification for the monstrous acts of Josef, but just a speculation of what could have triggered his descent into pure evil. Monsters are not created overnight. They are bred and fed over the generations. With that in mind, let us look at what happened to Elisabeth Fritzl during those 24 years in a basement and how it all began. On August 28, 1984, 18-year-old Elisabeth Fritzl went missing. Frantic over the whereabouts of her daughter, Rosemary hastily filed a missing persons report. For weeks, there was no word from Elisabeth, and her parents were left to assume the worst. Then out of nowhere, a letter arrived from Elisabeth, claiming that she had grown tired of her family life and ran away. Her father Josef told the policeman who came to the house that he had no idea where she would go. He told the police that she has most likely joined a religious cult, something she had talked previously about doing.
Austrian town of Amstetten on the banks of the Danube. An 18-year-old girl mysteriously disappears.
But the truth was that Josef Fritzl knew exactly where his daughter was. She was about 20 feet below where the police officer was standing. Elisabeth was a girl full of dreams and aspirations, and she grew tired of her father consistently imposing harsh restrictions on her. She had previously expressed to her mother and her sister about her interest in leaving the family, traveling around the country, and starting a new life on her own as soon as she would turn 18. Josef overheard this conversation and decided to do something about it. On August 28, 1984, Josef called his daughter into the basement of the family's home. He was refitting a door to the newly renovated cellar and needed help carrying it. As Elisabeth held the door, Josef fixed it into place. As soon as it was on the hinges, he swung it open, forcing Elisabeth inside and knocking her unconscious with an ether-soaked towel. For the next 24 years, the inside of the dirt-walled cellar would be the only thing Elisabeth Fritzl would see. Her father would lie to her mother and the police, feeding them stories about how she had run away and joined a cult. Eventually, the police investigation into her whereabouts would run cold, and before long, the world would forget about the missing Fritzl girl. But Josef Fritzl wouldn't forget. And over the next 24 years, he would make that very clear to his daughter. For the rest of the Fritzl family, Yosef was a hard-working husband and a father who was thoroughly dedicated to his career. For them, he would head down to the basement every morning at 9 a.m. to draw plans for the machines that he sold. And occasionally, he would spend the night there. Yosef's wife never doubted the actions or the intentions of her husband, since she didn't know what disgusting acts were happening right beneath her feet. At the minimum, Yosef would visit his daughter in the basement 3 times a week. Usually, it was every day. For the first 2 years, he left her alone in captivity. Then he began to rape her, continuing the nightly visits he had begun when she had not even entered the adult phase of her life. 2 years into her captivity, Elizabeth became pregnant and she miscarried 10 weeks into the pregnancy. 2 years later, she fell pregnant again, this time carrying to term. In August of 1988, a baby girl named Kirsten was born. And 2 years later, she gave birth to another baby boy named Stefan. Kirsten and Stefan remained in the cellar with their mother for the duration of her imprisonment, and Yosef brought weekly rations of food and water for them. Elizabeth attempted to teach them with the rudimentary education she herself had, and gave them the most normal life she could under their horrific circumstances. Over the next 24 years, Elizabeth Fritzl gave birth to 5 more children. 1 more was allowed to remain in the basement with her. 1 died shortly after birth, and the other 3 were taken upstairs to live with Rosemary and Yosef. In order to conceal what he was doing from Rosemary, he staged elaborate discoveries of the children. He often placed them on bushes near the home or sometimes on the doorstep. Each time, the child was swaddled neatly and accompanied with a note allegedly written by Elizabeth, claiming that she couldn't take care of the baby and was leaving it with her parents for safekeeping. Shockingly, social services never questioned the appearance of the children and allowed the Fritzls to keep them as their own children. Officials, on the other hand, remained under the impression that Rosemary and Yosef were the baby's grandparents.
Oh, such a nice man, such a nice woman, and they were so nice with their grandchildren. And then you find out something like that.
It is not known for how long Yosef Fritzl intended to keep his daughter captive in his basement. He had gotten away with it for 24 years, and for all the police knew, he was going to continue probably for another 24. However, in 2008, 1 of the children in the cellar fell ill. Elizabeth begged her father to allow her 19-year-old daughter Kirsten to get medical attention. She had fallen rapidly and critically ill, and Elizabeth was beside herself. Grudgingly, Yosef agreed to take her to a hospital. He removed Kirsten from the cellar and called an ambulance, claiming that he had a note from Kirsten's mother explaining her condition.
She looked like a ghost. She was seriously ill, her only relative, a mysterious grandfather.
The police eventually grew suspicious of Yosef and reopened the investigation into Elizabeth Fritzl's disappearance. They began to read the letters that Elizabeth had supposedly been leaving for the Fritzls and began to see inconsistencies in them. Police questioned Kirsten and also asked the public for any information on her family. Naturally, no one came forward as there was no family to speak of.
First of all, they didn't know what to do with her, and so they said, we have to find the mother very urgently.
Whether Yosef finally felt the pressure or had a change of heart regarding his daughter's captivity, the world may never know. But on April 26, 2008, he released Elizabeth from the cellar for the first time in 24 years. She immediately went to the hospital to see her daughter, where hospital staff alerted police to her suspicious arrival. That night, she was taken into custody to be questioned about her daughter's illness and her father's story. After making the police promise that she never had to see her father again, Elizabeth Fritzl told the tale of her 24-year imprisonment. She explained that her father kept her in the basement and that she bore his 7 children. She explained that Josef was the father of all 7 of them, and that Josef Fritzl would come down during the night, make her watch pornographic films, and then rape her. She explained that he'd been abusing her ever since she was 11. The police arrested Josef Fritzl that very same night. After the arrest, the children in the cellar were also released, and Rosemary Fritzl fled the home. She had allegedly known nothing about the events taking place right under her feet, and Josef backed up her story. The tenants who had lived in the apartment on the first floor of the Fritzl home also never knew what was happening right beneath them, as Josef had explained away all the sounds by blaming faulty piping and a noisy heater. Prior to his trial, Josef confessed to the repeated rapes, claiming that the rape of his daughter was an addiction and the redirection of incestuous feelings he felt towards his own mother. He also claimed to be a loving, attentive father to the children he sired in the basement, bringing them books and stuffed animals, watching videos, and eating dinner with the children just like a family. At the trial, the father admitted guilt on an incest charge, but pled innocent to enslavement and to the murder of his child. After he saw Elizabeth's taped testimony, he changed his plea to full guilt, acknowledging that his failure to secure medical care for the newborn may have directly contributed to the death. For his crimes, Fritzl was found guilty on all counts: negligent murder, enslavement, incest, rape, coercion, and false imprisonment. He was sentenced to life imprisonment in 2009. He has been in solitary confinement in Austria's Kremstein prison since that time. According to Austrian media, he now suffers from dementia, and none of his family has visited during his decade behind bars. Today, Elizabeth Fritzl lives under a new identity in a secret Austrian village known only as Village X. The home is under constant CCTV surveillance and police patrol every corner. The family doesn't allow interviews anywhere within their walls and has declined to give any information about themselves. Though she is now in her mid-50s, the last photo taken of her was when she was just 16 years of age.
She's 42. She's been living in a dungeon since the age of 18. How does she look now?
She looks like a normal woman. She's very white face. She has a very white face, absolutely very pallid face. Of course, because she hasn't had no sunshine or something like that. But she looks completely normal, just as you would expect it from someone else who is 42 years old.
How do you form an intimate relationship after the people who are supposed to protect you have done so many horrible things to you? What do you guys think? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you liked the video, hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to get notified when we are up with another shocking tale.